just gonna play around with the semi-cruise control to right about 9 miles an hour. Put it into, see how gear 4 handles. So we're running about 66 liters an hour on fuel. Our load percentage is 60%. Drop it down to 3rd gear. Lift up our planner, drop it back down, pick up another gear. Load percentage 15%. So this manual gear shift isn't very accurate because when you go up a hill, the RPMs basically they go down, but your engine sound becomes more quiet when it should really be at its most like pinned position, and then when you're going downhill, the sound also drops. But ideally it should, like how it worked in 13 with the MR, is the engine was pretty much always quiet when you're under, like I'm at 55%, yet the engine sounds like it's at 100%. And when you're going uphill, the engine is extremely quiet because your RPMs drop when your engine should really be extremely loud or extremely low bellow when it's struggling to go up. But and your fuel consumption at that point should also increase. So when the RPMs drop when you're going uphill, your fuel consumption also goes down to a more economical level when it should be, you know, completely uneconomical. So, and when I'm just going down here, my fuel consumption is 87, but if I were to grab another gear and I just drop my fuel consumption, but my load, you know, it's fun to play around with, but it isn't really anything near what it was like in 13. So, and the way you calculate the Newton meter forces are also different than in 13. So my values I had in my tractors in 13 are no longer accurate for how this was. So I kind of had to like do some reverse, you know, work the equation backwards to figure out how they actually calculate their torque, because calculating torque off of horsepower and RPM is not an easy thing to do. It's kind of a complex equation, but basically the ratios they're using now are, you know, essentially double of what they were using in 13. So turns out you need to increase your values by like a ratio of like you know, about 40 or 50%. You need to increase the values from 13 to work in 15 the way they did. So I don't know, it's not very accurate, but I mean it's still fun to play around with. It gives you opportunity to hear the engine work a little bit, although not that incredibly accurate. But another thing is the indoor sound doesn't work with it doesn't recognize the indoor cab with indoor sound. So that's another thing, is when you're inside the cab, it's just like you're outside with your camera. So I'll just go back to the drive control, as it's a little bit easier to use. And these tractors, you just plug in your desired speed, and the computer and engine takes care of all your gears and such like that. So basically all you do is, like this driver control, you just press your 3 key and you adjust your speed that you want to be at, and it keeps it there. And your engine fluctuates on its own. Now there was a new gear mod that came out. I haven't tried it yet. This is the manual gearbox, like the MR manual gears that was released many months ago. So yeah, I just don't like. I have the millisecond. It's set up to double clutch, and the millisecond between gear change is really low, because it takes forever to shift into the next gear. When you have these kind of transmissions, the gear shift is almost instantaneous, so you don't have a little basically like a stutter or whiplash action going on. So we're getting down to the end of the day here. This is our last field that we want to plant, and then we can just speed up time. I went ahead and bought a few more dairy cows, so we have 80 dairy cows. And went ahead and fed those for 6 days. So we'll probably accelerate time for another 4 or 5 days here, and hopefully get into corn and get some more money. So hopefully we're all good. The only thing we really have left to do is put down some form of weed control, some kind of a herbicide in these fields before the first grow stage, just to help us out. Because once they pop up, it's pretty hard to knock them back. So we kind of have a little hybrid farm going on right now, a little bit of dairy, a little bit of crop production. We're not really farming that many acres, as acres here are pretty expensive. Only one sell point, so you really can't unload that much grain. Also, this new DLC pack that Giants has come out with, I believe it's based off of a Russian agriculture, which, you know, that's great. They're catering towards another customer demographic, but I would assume that the American agriculture and customer base is probably a lot larger than the Russian. But anyways, they got a titanium mod. But I mean, let's be real. They're trying to gain market share in North America, and they had a great opportunity to take advantage, and they simply let that opportunity go. And then another thing is, it almost looks like a lot of those machines, like the combines, they look very similar to like a Versatile combine. So I mean, if Versatile owns that company, or however it works, they could have easily, at least at minimum, make some skins and just, make some kind of a Versatile, Canadian manufactured company, and I think a lot of people would appreciate that. I'm sure Versatile would have no issues trying to get their name into a game like this. Finally finished the 9620RX tracks that I was working on, and the rear end, and I adjusted the front as well for the def tank, and just going to be doing the rubber track UV wraps, and then that one should really be ready to go. So that should be interesting. The thing is basically a tank. The tracks themselves are apparently 20% larger than the other competitive triangle NH track design. Now, what if that's an overall dimension? I don't know if that's a height dimension, if that's a width dimension, or if that's in all dimensions. I really don't know, but they're huge. There's a large footprint, a lot of square feet those tracks take up when they're on the ground. So, whoops. So there's our little 230 frontline loader and mixer wagon hooked up to it. It's a great tractor. I wish you could see the particle animations in the mirrors, but you can't. So they're not true mirrors. So now's the fun part, the perimeter pass. Good old Farm Sim Saturday. I had a the most difficult exam I've ever had in my dental school career is actually I'd say the second most difficult. The most difficult was the GI and digestive system for physiology. It was a 4-hour exam, and I used every second of it. But this last exam, for oral pathology, was very different. It was kind of like some of our old radiology exams in the past, where you have your test booklet. It's not a multiple choice. You actually have to write in all the answers, and there's no word list, because when you're seeing a patient, there's no reference you can look. I mean, obviously you can go to Google or the internet, but I mean, you need to have all the diagnosis and your differential diagnosis and terminology, and all the diseases already. You need to know that needs to be memorized. That needs to be something you can recognize in a matter of seconds. So that's how they do the exams. The exams, they put up some kind of clinical image that you would see clinically, and then they give a histology sample when you take a specimen for biopsy. Because a lot of these diseases, you can only really give a definitive diagnosis based on the histology and what kind of cells they are. And for example, keratin, if it's para-orthokeratinized tissue based on the nuclei, or if it's squamous cell or columnar tissues, or if basal lamina layer has been breached and stuff like that, and all kinds of fibrosis and dysplasias based on what kind of activity is going on. So there's a lot that you need to know other than looking at it in the patient's mouth in the clinical chair. And then radiographically, a lot of this stuff needs to you need to see radiographically as well, to see if there's like displacements or reabsorptions or radiolucencies or opacities or any kind of calcifications. So it was very complex. Just usually when I study for an exam, we go over probably, I don't know, I'd say an average exam is probably 1,200 PowerPoint slides. And this exam was really no different. It was probably roughly, I don't know, 1,200 to 1,300 slides. But the thing is you need to know literally everything, and because it's not a multiple choice exam, there's nothing there to help you. It's they put the images on a PowerPoint slide, and they put the slide on shuffle, and they're basically like, this is how it presents, biopsy was taken, here's the results back from the oral pathologist, what's your diagnosis? And a good clinician will always make a differential diagnosis list, because a lot of these things present, they all look very similar. And it's only until you look at all three, points of view together that you can really come to a definitive diagnosis. So it was probably one of the few exams that really is designed to test knowledge and not memorization, because it makes you apply what you know, which is great, because those of us like myself that work really hard to learn and not just memorize but to learn, it's those kind of exams that are like we really enjoy, versus other people that take a more relaxed route of studying, where they just memorize, they don't really care to learn, and they forget it the moment after they take the exam. This is not their kind of exam. They do very poorly. So I just finished that on Friday, and I think I did pretty well, but it was definitely a very difficult exam. It really tests your ability to learn a lot of information and learn it quickly, and really put your deductive reasoning, so to speak, to the test. So I have a few more exams coming up, but nothing really to that caliber. They're all kind of a memorize, regurgitate, and forget kind of thing. So those are pretty much cake for me. It takes no effort to memorize anything. So we're done. So now I'm relaxing on this Saturday morning for a little bit. Just playing some Farm Sim. Should probably put So you can see the little blue fleck. We went ahead and we put NPK down and we plowed it in. So this field will be ready to go. What is it? 4 or 5 growth stages, whatever. How many growth stages later? My beautiful shop. Just gonna back this over to the power washer. So looking at this H-track design and compared to the Deer, this one looks not as robust at all. Just looking at, it's so much smaller than the one that I built off of the images. Idlers, main rollers, smaller. This main sprocket though is bigger. Different way to keep the track in line. They pretty much have one solid piece. This looks all bolted on. I don't see any kind of mechanisms to stop it from slapping the steel. Well, there is a little bit with no rubber pads. Similar, but very different designs. I mean, there's only so many ways you can make an H-track triangle track, so. Let's come and look at these different track designs. Like this is, I don't think he built the, I don't know. I'm not really sure how this one articulates or like follows the ground. But I like this. I'm not sure how that will affect the belt, if it will puncture the belt. I think there's probably enough surface area to avoid that, but I like that design. It allows debris to not grind on the rollers. It just falls out, so it gives a nice way to for spillage, debris to free itself. So now we have to go park this. Oops. And then this just got, I think we have to go bring back and return from the rental. So how many hours did we put on this tractor? We put 9.6 hours on this tractor we rented. So we managed to cultivate that field, plant the other field in 9.6 hours. Not bad. So I think the next time I rent the 470, I'll probably get the row crop, just to change things up a bit for tillage and whatnot. Definitely won't have enough money to buy one. Not really feeling like taking out a big loan either to buy up more land. Rather just grow slowly. I mean, when you want to grow, you obviously take out loans to grow. Otherwise, you just grow so slowly that you really can't. You just stay in the same spot because you never grow. You never get enough income and liquid capital to do anything except stay where you are and stay comfortable. But so I'll probably return this and stop the video, and then hopefully next time there's going to be some corn harvesting going on as well as some primary tillage. So, oh, apparently I own it. Anyways, thanks for watching.